Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. And to go back to that caller at the last hour, he's got a son, he's got Crohn's disease, had an insurance policy for 20 years. It's going away. That insurance policy, I'm guessing, has been made illegal by Obamacare. Because what Obamacare has mandated is that every health insurance policy has to cover procedures or treatments that you may have no interest in. Like it's got to cover prescription drug medication. Debbie and I have never had a drug prescription coverage in our insurance policy. We just don't take prescription drugs. It's going to have mental illness coverage in it. We don't go to psychiatrists, so we don't want to pay for that in our insurance coverage. But Obama is going to force you to pay for stuff that you never, ever, under 100 million years, would ever use. But you got to pay for it just because the government says so. What does that do? It raises the cost of insurance, and it makes any insurance plan that doesn't have all of those mandated coverage, it makes them against the law. They cannot be legally offered to you. It's now a criminal thing for you to have an insurance policy that doesn't have all the Obama mandated coverages in it, a criminal thing for a health insurance plan to sell you a plan that doesn't have all of these mandated coverages in it. So that's why a lot of these affordable plans are now unaffordable. They're now illegal, that you can't even get them. So the cheapest plan you can get under Obamacare, you're going to have to pay for stuff that in a million years you never would pay for if it was up to you and as a matter of choice for you. Let's go to Margaret, Keystone, Florida. Margaret, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind? Number to call, by the way, 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Margaret, what's on your mind? Margaret, are you with me? Okay. All right, let's put Margaret on hold, and if you get her, Jeff, get back to me, and we will bring her right on. Let's play clip number 4. I mentioned President Obama talking to Telemundo, and he gets a question about immigration. And basically, the anchor is saying, look, you just ought to legalize everybody in America. And here's what Obama said in response.
Here's the problem that I have, Jose, and I've said this consistently. My job in the executive branch is supposed to be to carry out the laws that are passed. Congress has said, here's the law when it comes to those who are undocumented, and they allocate a whole bunch of money for enforcement. And what I have been able to do is to make a legal argument that I think is absolutely right, which is that given the resources we have, we can't do everything that Congress has asked us to do. What we can do is then carve out the DREAM Act folks, saying young people who have basically grown up here are Americans that we should welcome. We're not going to have them operate under a cloud, under a shadow. But if we start broadening that, then essentially I would be ignoring the law in a way that I think would be very difficult to defend legally. So that's not an option, and I do get a little worried that advocates of immigration reform start losing heart and immediately thinking, well, somehow there's an out here. If Congress doesn't act, we'll just have the president sign something and that'll take care of it, and we won't have to worry about it.
So President Obama, this is just kind of an amazing thing to me where he says, my job is supposed to be to carry out the laws that are passed. Well, what's very clear is that he carries out the laws that he happens to like, and if it's a law that he doesn't like, he doesn't carry it out. So this anchor is exactly right. Why don't you just legalize everybody? Because that's your pattern. I mean, he's asking the question because he sees that President Obama simply ignores parts of the immigration law that he doesn't happen to like. And so and what's happened now, Obama's dug this pit for himself because he's legalizing what he calls these dreamers that have been brought here illegally by their parents. And their parents are getting rewarded because what President Obama is doing is making it possible for them to stay and get legalized, even though their presence here is a violation of our laws. And so amnesty proponents see that well, he just ignores that's not legal. Congress never enacted the DREAM Act. In fact, they voted it down. So what he's doing is illegal. It's contrary to the law, but he's going right ahead and doing it. Why doesn't he just give amnesty to everybody? If it's that easy, just to have the president sign something. Why doesn't he do that for everybody? So President Obama is admitting he's getting blowback here from people on his team because he's not doing what he in this area, what he's done in every other area. Why does he go this far in legalizing illegals, granting amnesty, and then not go all the way? They just can't understand it. And frankly, it is hard to explain because that's been his pattern. He sees a law he doesn't like. He simply ignores it. Now, one of the reasons why, I believe our immigration policy ought to be very simple, just border security, period. You ask me what my position is on immigration reform, that's it. Secure the border, period. Let's build a double-layer security fence along the entire southern border with Mexico. That's where the problem is. We know that Iran is bulking up their presence. They're training terrorists down in Central and South America, and they're bringing them across our southern border with Mexico. This is not just about Mexican illegal aliens. This is about national security, and it's about something else. It's about protecting the sexual integrity of our wives and our daughters. Here's a piece from CNS News. This is hard to believe. I mean, this will make your blood boil. But the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's ICE for short, these are the immigration people. They're the ones that are in charge of deporting illegal aliens. They have released, if you're ready for this, they have released back into American society 2,837 sex criminals, aliens who are sex offenders who have been convicted of sex crimes. They've let them go. They have released them back into American society. 2,837 aliens who have been convicted of committing sex crimes against American citizens have been put in incarceration, jail or prison, and now ICE is just turning them loose, letting them loose right back into American society. They don't do that with citizens that are convicted of sex crimes. They stay behind bars and do the time. These alien sex offenders, they're getting out of jail early. Here's the story. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has released 2,837 convicted criminal alien sex offenders back into American communities in order to comply with a Supreme Court decision authored by Clinton-appointed Justice Stephen Breyer. This is according to a report released by the Government Accountability Office. So this is not some kind of immigration pro-security group, anti-amnesty group. This is a Government Accountability Office. The report says this: there are circumstances in which criminal aliens who have been ordered removed from the United States, including those convicted of a sex offense, cannot be removed. For example, a criminal alien may not be removed because the designated country will not accept the alien's return. Now, I want you to understand what's going on here. You have an illegal alien, comes into the United States. He does not have the legal right to be in this country. While he is here, he commits a sex crime. He is apprehended. He's tried. He's incarcerated. He is a criminal offender, a sex criminal. And because of that, he has to be deported. That's a deportable offense. Well, just being here illegally ought to be a deported offense. But when we go to deport him, his home country won't accept him. We're not going to let you deport him back to his native country. He's a sex criminal. We don't want him here. And the Supreme Court says, well, in that case, you got to let him go. You have to let him go back into American society. If he can't be deported, you can't hold him. We're not going to let you hold him if he's supposed to be deported and you can't do it because his native country won't take him back. We're not going to let you hold him in incarceration. He can't be held indefinitely. You have got to release him into American society. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just absolutely, totally, utterly insane. And it shows you the callousness of our Supreme Court. They don't care. I mean, we know what the recidivism rate is with sex criminals. These people are going to go out and they're going to commit sexual offenses against other American females. And you think about the Republicans' appointees are the ones that let us down on this. Part of the majority opinion included Justice Paul Stevens. He's a Gerald Ford appointee. Sandra Day O'Connor. She was a Reagan appointee. This is a decision that goes back to 2001. And now we're living with the fruit of that. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was the Clinton, but David Souter was the George H.W. Bush appointee. So 3 of the justices, and it was a 5-4 decision, and you had 3 Republican appointees that were a part of this majority opinion. Now here's what Justice Antonin Scalia said at the time. Insofar as a claimed legal right to release into this country is concerned, an alien under final order of removal stands on equal footing with an inadmissible alien at the threshold of entry. He has no such right. So Scalia says correctly, he's got no right to be released. He's got no rights he can claim. He's got exactly the same status as somebody who's trying to break into this country across the southern. He's got no right to be in this country. But there it is. So Republican appointees turning 2,837 convicted alien sex offenders loose in our culture. It boggles the mind. Let's go to Carol, Columbus, Ohio. Carol, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
Carol. Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, I called my representative, Steve Stivers, and they argued with me for a long time how that's not going to do any good because the money is going to keep going. And I just can't believe these people are so out of touch with real life that it doesn't matter if we don't fund the government. The Obamacare keeps going. Then what do we even need a continuing resolution for then? It makes no sense.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, this is just the first round. I mean, if the House, and this is where we're going to have to call, you're going to have to call your representative again because is he a Republican?
Yes.
Okay,
I believe he's the rhino.
Yeah, well, apparently he has been convinced by calls from people like yourself, and that's the encouraging thing here. That's what you want to remember,
I told him
Carol.
to
Apparently he's going to vote for this thing on Friday just because he got so many phone calls from people like you. So the House is going to pass a bill on Friday that defunds Obamacare. And unless they change that, then Obamacare cannot get funded because every appropriations bill has got to start in the House. So we'll see what happens. But apparently he's seen the light because he felt the heat. So we'll see what happens if a bill comes back from the Senate. It'll be time to turn up the heat once again. Thanks, Carol, for your call and your congressman. Thanks for calling.